Night on Earth Colony 17 was usually quiet. Most people slept early because the colony lights always felt dim, and the wind outside carried a soft whistle that made the small homes feel even more empty. Evan, a simple human worker, was about to close his door for the night when he heard something strange. It sounded like a small thud, then a weak gasp. Evan froze. He thought it was just the wind pushing something across the porch. But then he heard it again, this time softer, like someone struggling to breathe. He slowly opened the door wider and stepped outside. At first, he saw nothing but the cold, empty walkway. Then he looked down. A young alien woman lay collapsed right at his doorstep. Her skin glowed faintly, like a dying light. Soft silver marks covered her arms, moving like fading tattoos. Her breathing was slow and shaky. Her clothes looked torn, as if she had been running for a long time. Evan's heart jumped. Someone falling at your door in the middle of the night. This was not normal, not on this colony. Not ever. He knelt beside her carefully. "Hey, can you hear me? Are you hurt?" The woman's eyes opened only halfway. They were bright but filled with fear, as if she was expecting danger any second. She tried to speak, but her voice came out thin and broken. "Please," she whispered. That one word shook something inside Evan. He wasn't a doctor. He wasn't a soldier. He was just a normal man. But he couldn't ignore someone who clearly needed help. When he touched her shoulder gently, a flash of light sparked between them. Evan gasped and pulled his hand back quickly. It was like touching a warm wire that carried energy. The alien woman's eyes widened for a second. The light between them faded just as quickly as it appeared. Evan felt confused. What was that? Why did touching her create that strange glow? The woman looked at him with weak, trembling eyes. "No, no danger. You. Safe," she whispered. Her voice broke again, and she collapsed completely, unconscious. Evan panicked for a moment. Leaving her outside would kill her. She was already freezing. Her skin temperature felt cold, far colder than a human's, whatever species she was. She clearly wasn't built for this colony's night weather. He didn't think twice. He lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than she looked, almost weightless. But the moment he picked her up, another soft glow flickered between them, like small threads of light trying to connect him to her. "What is happening?" he muttered, but he kept carrying her. Inside, he placed her gently on his couch and covered her with a warm blanket. Her breathing steadied a little, but she still looked like she could fade away at any moment. The silver marks on her arms pulsed weakly, like slow heartbeats. Evan tried to check for injuries, but he didn't know alien biology. All he saw were bruises and strange chain-like symbols burned into her skin. "Who did this to you?" he whispered. As if she heard him, the woman suddenly moved just a little. Her fingers brushed Evan's hand. And again, a small flash of light sparked between them. Her eyes opened halfway. This time, she spoke clearly, though her voice was still weak. "Chosen." Evan froze. "What?" But she didn't repeat it. She simply stared at him, her eyes full of fear, and something else he couldn't understand. Then she fainted again. Evan sat beside her, confused and on edge. Why did she call him that? Why come to his door? Was she running from someone? Was someone searching for her right now? The wind outside grew stronger, and the colony lights dimmed again. Evan looked toward the window nervously. He had a strange feeling, like this night was only the beginning of something much bigger, something dangerous. He didn't know her name. He didn't know where she came from. He didn't know why she fell at his doorstep. But he knew one thing clearly. Someone didn't want her alive. And somehow, for some unknown reason, she trusted him. Evan took a slow breath and looked at her again. She lay still, glowing softly, as if her body was fighting to stay alive. This was no random accident. This was no simple fall. This was the start of a mystery that would pull him into a world he never imagined. and the glowing alien woman on his couch had just changed his life forever. Evan barely slept that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he remembered the glowing light that sparked when he touched the alien woman's skin. It wasn't normal. It wasn't natural. And it definitely wasn't something he could ignore. He kept checking on her every few minutes. She lay on his couch, wrapped in a blanket, breathing slowly but steadily. The silver marks on her arms pulsed softly, like they were alive. When the first morning light entered through the window, Evan stood up to make some warm tea. As he turned his back for a few seconds, he suddenly heard a soft movement behind him. He spun around. The alien woman was sitting up, her eyes bright silver and full of fear, watched him quietly. She looked stronger than last night, but still weak, like someone recovering from a long nightmare. Her hands trembled as she held the blanket close to her chest. Evan froze. He didn't want to scare her. "It's okay," he said gently. "You're safe. I'm not going to hurt you." The woman blinked, confused. She looked around the small room, studying the furniture, the walls, the light, like everything was new to her. Then her gaze returned to Evan's face. "You brought me inside," she whispered, her voice small but clearer than before. Evan nodded. "You were unconscious at my door. I couldn't leave you outside. It was freezing." She lowered her eyes for a moment. "I remember falling. I remember running. And then I sensed something." She lifted her hand slightly and pointed at him. "You." Evan didn't understand. "Me? Why me?" The woman didn't answer right away. Instead, she moved the blanket aside and looked at her own arms. The silver marks were glowing again, a soft light passing through them like rivers of energy. She placed her hand on one of the glowing marks. "These react to danger. Or to a bond." "A bond?" Evan asked, confused. The word didn't make sense in this situation. She nodded slowly. "Yes, a life bond. But it should not be possible with a human." Evan felt a shiver. "What do you mean? What bond?" The woman took a shaky breath and looked right into his eyes. "When you touched me," the bond answered. "It reacted. It recognized something." Evan shook his head. "I don't know anything about alien bonds." A small sad smile appeared on her face. "I know. You are human. Your people don't use bonds the way we do." She lifted her hand again, and her fingers hovered close to his. "May I show you?" Evan hesitated. He remembered the flash of light from last night. But he also remembered the fear in her eyes, the bruises on her body, the desperation in her voice. He slowly nodded. "Okay." The woman touched his hand. Soft glow spread instantly. Not bright like before, gentle, warm, like a soft connection forming between them. Evan felt something strange inside his chest, not pain, not fear, just a link. The alien woman pulled her hand away quickly, like the connection scared her too. "It's true," she whispered, her voice shaking. "The life bond activated." Evan blinked. "What does that even mean?" "My name," she said softly, "is Lyra, and according to my people's ancient traditions, a life bond connects two souls. It allows them to feel each other's emotions, even share strength and fear." Evan's chest tightened. "Share emotions? Share strength?" Lyra nodded. "Only between chosen pairs, and only when fate decides. But it should never happen with a human. Our species are not compatible for this." Evan stepped back, overwhelmed. "So why me? Why did you come to my door?" Lyra looked down. Her voice turned shaky again. "Because I didn't choose it. I didn't even know your name. I was escaping my clan when the bond suddenly pulled me in your direction." "So the bond brought you here?" "Yes," Lyra said quietly. "It called me toward you. And when you touched me, it sealed the first stage." Evan stared at her, trying to understand the weight of her words. He hadn't asked for this. He didn't even know her. Yet something ancient and powerful had connected them. Lyra suddenly looked toward the window, her expression turning fearful. "They will come," she whispered. "My clan. They do not accept humans. They will not accept this bond. They will try to take me back." Evan swallowed hard. So this was bigger than he thought. "Lyra," he said slowly, "are you in danger?" Her answer was a single terrified word, "Yes." And as she said it, the silver marks on her arms glowed brighter warning. Them both that danger was already on its way. Evan did not realize how much his life had changed until that morning sunlight started fading behind dark clouds. The colony rarely had storms, but today the sky looked heavy and tense, almost as if it knew danger was close. Lyra stood near the window, her silver eyes focused on the sky. She wasn't shaking, but her body looked stiff, like someone ready to run again. The glowing marks on her arms pulsed faster than before. Evan stepped beside her. "Lyra, what exactly is coming?" She didn't turn her head. "Hunters." The word made Evan's stomach tighten. "Hunters? You mean armed aliens?" Lyra nodded slowly. "They follow orders without question. They track people like me who disobey." Evan frowned. "Disobey what?" Lyra hesitated. Then she whispered, "A forced bond ceremony. They wanted to bind me to someone from my own clan, a leader, a powerful one, and you refused?" Evan asked. Lyra finally turned to face him. "I refused because the bond should be free, not forced." She lowered her voice. "Our bond reacted before theirs did, and they will see it as betrayal." Evan ran a hand through his hair. "So they'll come here?" "For you," Lyra looked down. "Not just for me. For whoever bonded with me too." Before Evan could respond, a sharp humming sound cut through the air. It wasn't loud, but it was strange, almost metallic, vibrating in the walls. Lyra's eyes widened. "They're close." Evan rushed to the window. Flying above the colony were 3 small alien ships, slim, black, silent, and fast. They moved like shadows, scanning buildings with thin blue beams of light. "What do we do?" Evan whispered. Lyra grabbed his arm, an action she didn't think about, but the bond reacted instantly. A soft glow passed between them again, stronger than before. Evan felt her fear, not through words, not through expression. It was something deeper. A sudden cold, shaking feeling that wasn't his but hers. He stepped closer without thinking. "It's okay, Lyra. I won't let anything happen to you." Lyra looked shocked. "You feel it?" "The bond." Evan nodded, breathing shakily. "I felt your fear just now." "That should not happen so soon," Lyra whispered. "The bond is getting stronger." Suddenly, a loud knock slammed against the door. Lyra jumped back. Evan's heart raced. The knock wasn't human. It was too sharp, too controlled. The lights in the house flickered. Then came a voice, metallic, calm, and cold. "Open the door. We seek a fugitive of Clan Seraph. Compliance will be rewarded. Resistance will be punished." Lyra's face turned pale. "Seraph hunters," Evan whispered. "We can't open it." "No," Lyra said firmly. "If they see me, the bond will activate fully. They will take me by force." The hunters knocked again, this time harder. Another cold voice followed. "You have 10 seconds." Lyra grabbed Evan's hand. "We must hide, now." Evan didn't have a plan, but the bond gave him courage he didn't know he had. He led Lyra through the small kitchen and opened a hidden storage door under the floor. It was a tiny space he used for old tools, dark, dusty, cramped. "They won't think to check here," Evan whispered. Lyra crawled inside, her glowing marks lighting the cramped space. Evan followed, closing the door quietly just as the front door cracked open. With a violent force, heavy footsteps entered the house. Lyra covered her mouth to stay silent. Evan placed a hand over hers, calming her. The bond pulsed softly, warm, steady, comforting. Above them, Two hunters spoke. Their voices were cold and echoing. "She was here," one said. "The bond reacted in this area," another replied. "Search everything." Evan felt Lyra's fear rising. The bond pulled at his chest. He squeezed her hand gently. She looked at him with trembling eyes, her fear melting a little at his silent reassurance. For several long minutes, they listened to the hunters searching every room, breaking things, scanning walls. The sound of metal boots hammered above them like thunder. Then silence. Evan held his breath. The hunters spoke again. "She is not found, but the bond signature is strong. She is close." Then we track deeper. Prepare the ship. Rise for high. Scan. Footsteps moved out of the house, and the door slammed shut. The humming of alien engines rose outside. Only after the sound faded completely did Lyra let out a shaky breath. "We can't stay here," she whispered. "They will come again," Evan nodded. "Then we run." Lyra looked at him with wide, soft eyes. "You would leave your home." "For me?" Evan didn't hesitate. "I won't let them take you." The bond glowed brighter than ever, warm, powerful, alive. And for the first time, Lyra felt something stronger than fear. Hope. Evan and Lyra left the house quietly, moving through the colony's back path where no one normally walked. The morning sky was slowly turning darker again, almost like another storm was coming. The trees around the colony shook in the cold wind, and the dirt road in front of them felt endless. Lyra walked slowly, still weak from the night before. Her silver marks glowed faintly, but the glow looked unstable, sometimes bright, sometimes dull, like a flickering flame. Evan kept glancing at her. "Are you okay?" Lyra gave a small nod. "I am, trying. But the bond is pulling too fast." "What does that mean?" Evan asked. Lyra stopped walking for a moment. She placed her hand over her chest. A life bond usually grows slowly over time. Days, weeks, sometimes months. But ours is moving too fast. When you feel something, it reaches me. When I feel something, it reaches you. Evan remembered the fear he felt earlier, the fear that wasn't his. "That already happened," Lyra nodded. "Yes, and it will grow stronger." They continued walking toward the abandoned mines at the edge of the colony. Evan knew the place well. He worked there years ago before the mine shut down. No one went there now. It was the safest place to hide. As they walked deeper into the woods, Lyra suddenly stopped and leaned against a tree, breathing hard. Evan rushed to her. "Lyra, what's wrong?" She clutched her stomach. "The bond. It reacts when I'm afraid. The hunters thinking about them makes the bond heavy." Evan gently touched her shoulder. "Hey, it's okay. We're safe right now." The moment his hand touched her, a warm glow spread from her skin to his fingers. It wasn't bright like last time, soft and gentle, like a warm blanket. Lyra gasped in surprise. "You felt that too, didn't you?" Evan nodded slowly. "Yeah, I felt it." She stepped closer, her eyes wide with realization. "The bond is sinking us. Your touch calms it." Evan didn't understand the science behind it, but he knew one thing. She trusted him. And that trust made him feel protective in a way he never felt before. They reached a small clearing near the entrance of the old mines. The giant metal door was half broken, hanging sideways. The area was silent except for the wind. Evan guided Lyra inside, helping her down the small path that led to a wide tunnel. Lyra's voice echoed softly. "This place feels quiet." "It's abandoned," Evan said. "No one has worked here in years. We can hide here until the hunters leave." Lyra sat on a large stone and wrapped her arms around herself. The silver marks on her skin glowed softly, casting gentle light on the dark walls. Evan sat near her. "Lyra, can you explain more about the life bond?" Lyra looked nervous, but she nodded. "A life bond connects two beings deeply. It lets them sense each other. emotion, pain, even thoughts if the bond grows strong enough. She paused, then added quietly, but the strongest bond stage happens only when both accept it. Evan felt heat rush to his face. Accept it, you mean? Choose it? Lyra's expression softened. Yes, a life bond is sacred to my people. When both accept it, the bond becomes permanent. Forever, Evan swallowed. Forever is a long time. Lyra smiled sadly. I know. I did not want a forced bond with my clan leader. I wanted freedom. She looked at him with gentle eyes. And then the bond pulled me to you. Evan stared at the ground for a moment. I don't know why fate chose me. Lyra shook her head softly. Fate does not choose without reason. Suddenly, she gasped. Her hand flew to her head. Evan grabbed her arm. Lyra, what's wrong? Lyra trembled, her marks brightening dangerously. The hunters. They are scanning the colony again. Evan felt a sudden surge of cold fear, but it wasn't his. It was hers. The bond was sharing her emotions again. Lyra clung to his arm tightly. They are stronger, faster. They want to break me. Evan gently pulled her close. No one is breaking you. Not while I'm here. The moment he said those words, the glow around them changed. It became warmer, brighter, almost protective. Lyra's breathing steadied. Her trembling stopped. Her head rested against his shoulder. You feel like a shield, she whispered softly. Evan didn't fully understand the bond, but he understood one thing. Every time he held her, she grew stronger. And every time she trusted him, he felt braver. Lyra slowly looked up. Her silver eyes filled with something new, something soft. We are connected now, she said. Stronger than either of us expected. Evan nodded. Then we'll face whatever comes, together. Lyra closed her eyes briefly, letting the bond settle. For the first time since she escaped her clan, she felt safe. And for the first time in Evan's life, he realized he wasn't just protecting her. He was already part of her world. Evan and Lyra stayed in the quiet darkness of the abandoned mine for hours. The air was cold, and every sound echoed like whispered warnings. Evan listened carefully to make sure no footsteps or engines approached. But the bond between him and Lyra kept telling him something else. Danger was slowly tightening around them. Lyra sat near the wall, her eyes closed, breathing slowly. The silver glow on her arms flickered calmly now, not as wild as before. But when Evan moved a little farther away, the glow dimmed again. You need to stay close, Lyra said softly without opening her eyes. Distance makes the bond unstable. Evan moved back to her side. Better? Lyra nodded. Yes, much better. For a moment, they both sat in silence. The bond created a warm, gentle feeling between them, something neither understood, but both could feel. But peace never lasted long. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A low hum spread through the mine walls. Evan stood up instantly. What was that? Lyra's eyes shot open. Her marks flashed bright silver, too bright. They found us, she whispered, her voice shaking. The hunters are here. Evan rushed toward the mouth of the tunnel and peered outside. At first, he saw nothing. But then, through the dust and cold wind, he spotted dark shapes approaching. 3 alien hunters, tall, armored, and silent. Their black suits reflected no light. Their masks were smooth and glowing with bright blue patterns. Lyra stood up, but wobbled. Evan caught her before she fell. They came faster than I expected, she said. They locked onto the bond's energy. What do they want with you? Evan asked, angry now instead of scared. Lyra swallowed hard. I am supposed to bond with the clan leader. A forced bond gives him power. A human bond. She hesitated. A human bond insults him, so he wants revenge? Evan asked. No, Lyra whispered. He wants to kill you. And take me back to force the bond again. Evan felt anger rise hot in his chest. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't trained. But the idea of someone hurting Lyra made something inside him burn. The hunters entered the mine. Their heavy boots echoed through the dark tunnels. Lyra pulled Evan back behind a large rock. "They can feel the bond," she whispered. "They will find us soon." The hunters' voices echoed through the stone corridors. "Target close. Bond signature strong. She cannot escape." Evan looked at Lyra. "We have to fight. Or run. Which one?" Lyra's eyes softened. "Evan, I don't want you hurt, or worse." Her voice shook with emotion. "I never expected someone to protect me. No one in my clan cares if I cry, or suffer, or beg. You saw me as a person." Evan touched her arm gently. The bond glowed instantly, the warmth spreading through both of them. Lyra inhaled sharply. "You give me strength," she whispered. "What do we do?" Evan said. Lyra looked at the far end of the mine. "There is a lower exit. If we can reach it, we can escape into the hills." The hunter's footsteps grew louder. Evan grabbed Lyra's hand. "Then let's move." They ran deeper into the tunnels, the air getting colder, the stones beneath their feet sharp and uneven. The hunters followed, blue lights sweeping across. "The walls." Lyra stumbled, but Evan pulled her up. The bond pulsed warm. Evan felt her pain, but he also felt her trust. They reached a broken rail track leading down to a darker tunnel. But before they could climb onto it, a loud metallic shout echoed behind them. "Stop! The human must die. The girl belongs to Clan Seraph." Evan turned around. The hunters were in full view, now 3 tall shadows with glowing blue visors, weapons humming with deadly energy. Lyra stepped behind Evan instinctively. The bond lighting softly between them, Evan felt something rise inside him, something he didn't know he had. It wasn't courage, it wasn't bravery. It was instinct. To protect her. No matter what. One hunter raised his weapon. Lyra screamed, "Evan, get down!" But Evan didn't move. Something strange happened instead. The bond exploded with light. A wave of silver energy spread outward, pushing the hunters back several steps. The mine walls shook. Dust rained down from the ceiling. Lyra gasped. "Evan, you used the bond energy." Evan blinked, stunned. What?" Lyra's eyes widened with awe and fear. "A human should not be able to do that. This bond. It is becoming something impossible." The hunters recovered quickly, stepping forward again. Lyra grabbed Evan's hand tight. "We run, now." Evan nodded, and together they sprinted into the deeper tunnels as the hunters roared behind them. The bond glowed bright and alive, guiding them into the darkness. Evan and Lyra ran deeper into the mines, their footsteps echoing like thunder. The tunnel ahead sloped downward, lit only by Lyra's faint silver glow. The walls closed tighter around them, forcing them into narrow pathways where even breathing felt heavy. Behind them, the hunters' metal boots struck the ground sharp. Steady and getting closer. Lyra stumbled again. Evan caught her before she hit the ground. "I'm slowing you down," she whispered, breathless. "No," Evan said firmly. "You're staying with me. We survive together." The bond pulsed warmly between their hands, alive, strong, growing brighter every moment. Lyra looked at Evan as if seeing something impossible, a human, fighting fate itself to protect her. They reached an old mining chamber wide, circular, with broken equipment scattered everywhere. Rusty machines leaned against walls and cracked. Pipelines dripped cold water. It looked abandoned, forgotten. Perfect for a final stand. Lyra's marks flickered violently. "They're close," she whispered. "Too close." Evan's breathing grew heavy. "Then we make our stand here." Lyra's eyes widened. "Evan, no. You can't fight hunters. They were trained for war since childhood. They are faster, stronger, and connected to their clan. Tech, Evan stepped forward, determination burning in his eyes. Maybe they have training, maybe they have power, but they don't have what we have, Lyra swallowed. The bond. Yes, Evan said. The bond. Before Lyra could reply, the hunters entered the chamber, 3 tall figures in black armor, blue lights glowing like frozen fire across their masks. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. One stepped forward. Human, the life bond is forbidden. Release the girl. Evan lifted his chin. No. The hunter's mask glowed sharper. Then you die. Lyra stepped beside Evan. Stop. You don't understand. But the hunters didn't care about understanding. They moved fast. Too fast. Evan barely saw the first one before a blast of energy shot toward him. He braced himself, but Lyra grabbed his arm. The bond ignited. A bright silver shield burst out of nowhere, forming between them and the blast. The beam hit the shield, shaking the whole chamber with a loud crack. Dust rained from the ceiling. The floor trembled. Evan stared in shock. Lyra, what was that? Lyra shook, overwhelmed. I didn't do that alone. The bond used both our strengths. Another hunter aimed his weapon. Evan stepped forward this time. Something in his chest pulled like the bond was guiding him. He raised his hand. Burst of silver energy shot out from his palm, exploding against the hunter's armor and throwing him backward. Lyra gasped. Evan, humans can't do that. The bond is rewriting you. The remaining 2 hunters advanced. Their weapons glowed brighter. They want to end you first, Lyra whispered. Because the bond chose you. Evan felt the bond tug at him again, warm, powerful, like a heartbeat shared between them. He looked at Lyra. I'm not running, he said softly. Not while you're in danger. Lyra's eyes filled with emotion, but she said nothing. Hunters attacked again. This time they split, 1 on each side, moving at deadly speed. Evan and Lyra stood back to back. The bond flowed between them like liquid light, guiding their movements. A hunter swung a blade of energy. Evan blocked it with a glowing shield that formed in midair. Another fired a beam. Lyra lifted her hands, creating a pulse of light that deflected it. Their breaths synced. Their heartbeats synced. Their fear synced. The bond wasn't just connecting them, it was merging their strength. The chamber lit with silver fire. The hunters grew desperate. Their leader shouted, Human! You do not understand the danger of a hybrid bond. Evan yelled back, I don't care. She's not going with you. Lyra felt the bond burn stronger than ever. She placed her hand on Evan's shoulder. Let me give you more. She whispered. Before he could ask, she pushed energy through the bond, pouring the last of her strength into him. Evan felt it like a wave of warmth, lightning, and light flooding through his body. His entire vision turned silver. The hunters fired their strongest attack. Evan stepped forward, raised both arms, and unleashed a massive blast of bond energy. The explosion lit the entire chamber with blinding light. Rocks shattered. Machines collapsed. The hunters were thrown across the ground, their armor cracking, their weapons dead. Silence filled the cavern. Evan collapsed to his knees, exhausted. Lyra fell beside him, breathing hard. Evan, she whispered, touching his cheek. You saved me. You saved us. Evan held her hand weakly. We did it together. The bond glowed softly around them, warm and alive. For the first time since her escape, Lyra felt safe. But she also knew this was not the end. This was only the beginning. The mine grew quiet after the blast. Too quiet. Dust drifted through the air like slow falling snow. The machines were silent, the rocks still, and the hunters lay motionless on the ground. Evan sat against the wall, breathing hard, sweat on his forehead. Lyra knelt beside him, her silver glow dimming and brightening like a tired heartbeat. You used too much energy, Lyra whispered, touching his arm gently. Evan gave a weak smile. Says you. I think you pushed that power into me. Lyra lowered her eyes. I had to. I could not let them take you. I would rather die. Evan froze. Don't say that. Lyra looked at him, her eyes shining with deep emotion. The bond. It changes what you feel. It changes who you protect. You became the one person I could trust. Evan didn't know how to respond. The words hit him harder than any hunter's attack. Silence filled the chamber again, but this time it felt warm. Protective. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment. There is still danger. The hunters will send a signal to their clan if they wake. Up, Evan nodded slowly. Then we need to leave. But you need rest first. Lyra hesitated. Rest is not enough to stop what is coming. What do you mean? Lyra shifted closer to him. Her voice softened. Evan, there is something. You must know. A life bond has 3 stages. The first is connection. The second is power. The third. She paused, breathing unsteadily. The third is acceptance. Evan raised an eyebrow. Acceptance? Lyra nodded. The final stage seals the bond permanently. It protects both partners from outside influence. No clan can break it. No hunter can track it. No leader can claim me. Evan sat straighter. So if we accept the bond, you'll be safe? Yes. Lyra's voice trembled. But only if you accept it too. Evan stared at her for a long moment. He thought about everything. The night she fell at his door. The fear in her voice. The hunters chasing her. The bond that saved both their lives. The strange warmth that grew between them. He took a slow breath. Lyra, what happens? If I accept it? Lyra looked into his eyes. We become connected for life. You will feel my emotions. I will feel yours. Our strength will be shared. Our futures linked. No force in my world can separate us again. Evan's heartbeat echoed in his ears. And if I don't accept it? He asked softly. Lyra's eyes dimmed. Then I will leave. The bond will weaken and fade. I will go far away so you never feel its pain. You will forget me, slowly. And I will be alone again. Her voice cracked on the last word. Evan felt the fear inside her, not through her face, but through the bond itself. She wasn't scared of hunters anymore. She was scared of losing him. Evan reached out and gently took her hands. Lyra, you came to my door because something pulled you to me. And something in me pulled toward you too. I don't know if it's fate or chance, but I won't let you walk away. Lyra gasped softly, her eyes shining with tears. Evan continued, voice steady and honest. I accept the bond. A bright glow erupted between their hands, soft at first, then stronger, warm, comforting, alive. Lyra let out a shaky breath as the silver light wrapped around both of them like a protective veil. It's sealing. She whispered, the final stage. Evan felt a strange warmth fill his chest, spreading through his arms, down his spine, into his heartbeat. It didn't hurt. It felt like truth, like something inside him had finally found its missing part. Lyra's eyes shimmered. Evan, you do not know what you just chose. He smiled softly. Then tell me. Lyra placed one hand gently on his cheek. You chose a partner, a protector, a bondmate for life. My people will never touch you now, and I will never leave you. Evan felt her emotion through the bond, deep, honest, glowing like light. Suddenly, the hunters groaned on the ground. One of them tried to push himself up. Lyra stood, her marks glowing bright with new energy, stronger, sharper, more complete. They cannot harm us anymore, Lyra said calmly. The bond hides us. To them, we are only fading shadows now. The hunter looked around, confused, unable to pinpoint their location. Evan stood beside her, surprised. They really can't see us? Lyra nodded. The acceptance changed our signal. We are untouchable now. Side by side, they walked out of the mine, leaving the hunters behind. Outside, the sky was brighter, the storm fading. A gentle breeze brushed past them as if welcoming a new beginning. Lyra looked at Evan with a soft smile. "This is the first sunrise I have seen without fear." Evan reached for her hand. "Not the last." And as the sun rose over Earth Colony 17, the legend quietly began, the tale of a human and an alien bound by destiny, protected by a bond no galaxy could break.